Let's set up my bullet journal for the month of June 2025. Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Tori and today we are working in my bullet journal and getting set up for the month ahead. I am actually so excited and just pleased with how this setup turned out. So I am very excited to get this video out to you. I was actually heavily inspired by Mochi Bujo's recent upload. I think it literally got uploaded yesterday, and still hadn't decided what I wanted to do with my bullet journal setup this month. And saw that she was using one of these Dress My Craft border punches and layering that with waterfall tabs. And I thought to myself, I have one of those punches and I have a bunch of new washi tape or PET tape from the washi tape shop that I have just been yearning to use and thought that they would make a brilliant combination. So again, this was heavily inspired by Mochi Bujo's June bullet journal video, and I will link that down in the description box below for you. If you like this video, you will definitely like that one as well. So I have quite a few things pulled out here, and I am using a Dress My Craft border punch, which I will have linked down below in the description box. I'm also using the Baroque lace PET tape from the washi tape shop, as well as the Floral Chronicles PET tape from the washi tape shop. I pulled out another tape that's kind of like a gingham pattern, but I don't actually end up using that one at all. I also have pulled out the Tito Alpha from Heba Alzabai Creates. Again, all of this will be linked down in the description box below for you if you are interested in anything. I am just super obsessed with how everything came together. For my waterfall tabs, we kind of sped right through that part, but for my waterfall tabs, the way that I did these was just calculated 3 dot grid spaces over. That seems to be like a really good amount of dot grid spaces to use for waterfall tabs, especially considering that I'm using a smaller journal. I'm not using a traditional A5 journal. I'm actually using, I think, the A5 small, quote unquote, which is a little tiny bit bigger than a B6. So I find that just drawing a line 3 dot grid spaces in for my first tab and then kind of moving over 3 more dot grid spaces each time gives me like a very pleasant waterfall look. So the first page I went over 3 dot grid spaces, the next page I went over 6 dot grid spaces, and then the following page I went over 9 dot grid spaces. Then I alternated between using this lace PET tape as well as the actual border punch so that I've got that nice like punched look over the PET tape. And because this tape is just like meant to look like lace, when you actually flip over to that page, it's got its own nice little border on top of having that border punch laying over it. Oh goodness, words. So I'm pulling out now the Floral Chronicles to place on my cover page. A lot of times with these types of tapes, I don't normally just lay it down, but I decided to go against my nature and just laid this straight down onto my page and cut it to fit. This layered over that lace tape is just brilliant. I'm so happy with it. The last thing that I will do on my actual cover page is I'm going to use that Tito alphabet stamp to stamp out the month of June for my cover. This is, I believe, one of Heba's releases for May, I think. So it just released this month and it's just such a cute alphabet. I love it so much. So I will have that linked for you if you are interested in getting it. It's not an affiliate link for that alphabet stamp. It's just so good. And if you love alphabet stamps, you need to have it. After I get this stamped out, I'm going to use my Tombow markers to color everything in, and I'm only using two Tombow markers in this video, the 228, which is like a green gray color that matches the lace tape almost perfectly. And then N79, which is just more of a neutral color that I tend to love. So I will use the N79 to color in the exclamation point. And then for coloring in the letters of June, as well as any other letters that I stamp out for the rest of this video, I am using that green color as well. So that's the last thing that I will be doing on this particular page, and then we're going to flip over to my calendar page and get that set up. You may have noticed in the beginning of this video that I pulled out a mechanical pencil and was drawing all of my lines for my waterfall tabs before I cut them. You're also going to see me here drawing out my actual calendar spread because I did not prep a single thing for this video. I pulled out some of the supplies that I wanted to use, obviously, but I didn't sketch out anything like I normally would do for my bullet journal setup videos. So I am doing that on camera with you, and I figured I would just leave that in. The reason specifically I'm leaving the calendar stuff in is because I struggled with this quite a bit because I did not give myself any room to do the normal sized calendar that I do, which is usually 5x5 dot grid squares. So I had to kind of figure out what would work the best for this particular calendar. So I can fit only 6 4x4 squares going across the page, so I wouldn't be able to fit all 7 days of the week. So what I ended up doing was just turning my bullet journal on its side, and I'm going to do my calendar horizontally instead of vertically like I would normally do. So I will have essentially the way that my planner is looking right now. This is the way that my calendar is going to be facing, and that'll be a little bit clearer as we proceed through getting this set up. So I've got all 7 days of the week going from the bottom of the page to the top of the page. And then I will fill that blank space up at the top with my monthly page title, which is essentially just saying this month. Thankfully, I was using a pencil right here and kind of sketching in the days of the month, but I actually started on the wrong day. I started on Saturday instead of Sunday. So I'm going to have to erase all of that. Just another reason why I can never go straight into my calendar pages with a pen, because I do stuff like this all the time. Like when you see these pre-sketched out, I've probably erased things 2 or 3 times before I had my final sketch and felt like I could proceed and actually pen everything in. So I fixed that, and then I'm going to move on to stamping out my title for this page, which is going to say this month. I do mess up stamping the S on here. I did not try to re-stamp it. I'm just going to skip past it. I'm going to stamp out this, and then I'm just going to move forward and finish stamping out the word month. And what I will end up doing to fix that S, you see I just stamped it right there, is I'm going to pull out my Tombow Furonosuke brush pen in the hard tip because the thickness of these letters is almost perfectly the same size as what I can create with that brush pen. And I will just draw that S in myself to fix that. And if you did not know that and were looking at my bullet journal, I don't think that anybody would be able to tell. So I think that that was a really good fix for this kind of messed up stampy situation. I'm going to go ahead and get all of my line work for my actual calendar done now. And for any days that are not going to be included in this month, I just, again, am placing a grid pattern over top of them. That is something that I tend to do fairly regularly. I feel like I've been pretty consistent with doing that throughout this year, especially in my reading journal. I don't know that I've been doing it super often in my bullet journal, but I've definitely been doing it in my reading journal for the entire year, I think. And I just love the way that it looks. I feel like it makes it so much easier to fill the page that way, and I don't have to worry about any weird crevices that I have to fill. And I like to have this grid pattern behind like stickers or embellishments or anything else that I'm going to be adding to the page, just to give it a little bit of something extra. And I will place some more of that Floral Chronicles PET tape on top of that grid border as well, just to add something a little bit extra to my calendar. So here I am fixing that S. I feel like I did a pretty good job. I don't think that anybody would be able to tell that I drew the rest of that in. So yay, go me. I'm going to let that dry for a minute and then color that in with that same green marker. While that's drying, I'm just going to erase some of my pencil lines so that I can do my first row highlight for each day of the month. That first row highlight is where I'm going to place the actual days of the month. So I do like to erase lines before I do that, because I find that if I highlight over pencil lines with the Tombows, like I can't actually erase them, and I don't like that. My hand kept getting stuck on the PET tape, so I messed up a few times drawing these first row highlights, but I don't think that it's super noticeable. So I just kind of colored in some of the wonky areas to make them a little bit more seamless and just moved right along. I'm going to do a little bit of flipping back and forth here before I grab some pencils and then start adding my days and finish adding some decoration to this month page. I just flipped back through all of my previous months in this journal so far to see if I actually have done this calendar format in my bullet journal, and I actually haven't. I've just been drawing out like the days of the month that are actually included in the month, but not actually doing this grid kind of decorative areas for my actual bullet journal. So that's all been primarily in my reading journal, and I'm a little bit shocked, honestly, that I have not yet done this in my bullet journal so far this year. So if you were interested, you haven't seen this in my bullet journal because I haven't done it yet. This is the first time. For this month, I'm actually going to stick to doing the same pages that I did for May. So my cover page, my monthly page, and then I'm going to have an orders page and a currently page. But I'm not going to be adding habits into my setup this month. I'm actually going to be moving all of my habit tracking, at least for this month to start with. I'm actually going to move it to my Hobonichi, so my daily journal, because I feel like I have a easier time consistently marking those things off. And you'll see if you watch those videos where I set up my Hobonichi for each month, you'll kind of see how I set some of those up when I do my June setup for my Hobonichi. So we've flipped over now, and we're going to work on my orders page and my currently page. I'm going to add a large piece of the PET tape from the Floral Chronicles down to the bottom left-hand corner of this spread. And then I think that's the only decoration I actually add to this page. I will then add my titles, which are going to be orders and currently, and get everything kind of set up for this particular page as well. This one's going to come together very, very quickly because I don't tend to add a ton of decoration to these pages because I do usually have a lot of writing on here. My decoration heavy pages are usually my cover page and like the outside of my calendar page, which has been consistent for me for a while. So I've got that kind of decoration down at the bottom left-hand corner, and I will see if I can add some a little bit other places as well. But because I've kind of cut these pages down, I don't have a lot of extra room that I'm willing to sacrifice for decorations. So I'm using that Tito alphabet to stamp out orders, and then I'm going to flip my bullet journal to the side because this is kind of a large alphabet and I'm not going to be able to fit currently's across the page. So I'm going to do it going from the bottom of the page to the top of the page. I did not take into consideration that I had done waterfall tabs at all when I stamped this currently titles out. So you're actually going to see the currently title like when all of the tabs are closed. Thankfully for me, I think that this stamp is really cute and I really like the color that I used to color it in. So it doesn't bother me too much, but that is not something that I accounted for or planned on happening. So I was a little bit jarred by it when I realized that I did it to begin with. And I was a little bit unhappy with myself for it, but because everything does still look super cute, I think that I'm okay with it. So I'm coloring everything in with that Tombow 228 marker. And then I also highlighted just random lines essentially on my currently page so that I can track any of the books that I read for the month of June, any of the shows that I watch, the games that I play, or anything that I am currently listening to. That's really going to be, for the most part, what I do for these pages. I will pull out my Pigma Micron and then just add like a line underneath orders, and then I'm going to add a line underneath each of my little mini section titles on the currently page. But then I'm gonna like try and see if I can add any decoration anywhere else, but I'm ultimately going to end up not doing that. And that is all I have for my June bullet journal setup. We're gonna go ahead and do a final flip through. I would love to know your thoughts on this setup down in the comments below. I, again, am just so pleased with how this came out, and I'm really hoping it kind of triggers me to go into my bullet journal regularly for the month of June. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I hope to see you in my next video. Bye.